So, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, good day, and welcome. I didn't realize I'm so popular, that I have such a big profile here, because I don't look at my CV quite often. And I'm glad, Noor, thank you very much for putting all that together. And I'm really pleased, Head of Accounting, you're now productive, all right? Now, there are some rules which I would like to share with you. I'm not basically I'll be more comfortable to be part of you rather than you listening me. Second rule is, if you have to really go to toilet somewhere, please do go, all right? And third, when you see that my voice is very high, because this mic seems to be, just raise your hand, tell you're too loud, I'll stay away a little bit from this mic. I think that's what I would be doing. And the last one announcement is, my presentation is very general, applicable to all settings. Since my research is in performance measurement or balanced scorecard, I have developed a number of balanced scorecards for different companies, especially banking sector and public sector. And the references which I would give you would be from the public sector, okay? So whatever example I give you, remember this is coming from a council or Sydney Rail, or it is coming from any public sector organizations, all right? But I would be happy to clarify if there is any question in your mind, or any clarification you need about balanced scorecard or performance management system. So what I would do is, I'll start from theory and with the practice at the end. And presentation is quite complicated actually. For some of you might be too early to understand those concepts, but I'll try to go on a very low level and try to explain the measurement systems, and then at the end we would sort of construct a balanced scorecard for your institution as a public sector institution. Yep. So the roadmap is, we would start with more strategic planning process and try to understand how strategic planning process help in developing organizations to achieve a competitive advantage. And the reason for this is that having a competitive advantage is not a blessing. There are a lot of commercial examples of phones in the past, all right, Nokia phone or others, or products which came and disappeared. For example, in computers, if you look at IBM started with PC, but later on we saw Dell came on the scene, and now neither IBM or Dell, they are popular. There are many other brands, they are more popular and they have taken a space. So what has happened? IBM was a giant. When I started my career back in 1985 in banking, at that time IBM was the only brand available in the market. So what has happened to them when there was a competitive advantage? So we would try to learn like what exactly this strategic planning process is, because this is the key to success for any balanced scorecard or performance measurement system. Often people, they confuse performance management system with the performance measurement systems, all right? We actually define it in the same way. When we say management systems, we include individuals' performance and appraisals within the measurement systems. But when we just use the word performance measurement, it is at a corporate level or strategic business unit level, or at an institutional level, we measure performance, for example, balanced scorecard. So balanced scorecard is a complete package for managing performance of organization, so it is better to call it as performance management system. And that is only performance management system which is contemporary. There's a lot of systems came in Europe, but they were all engineering related, or they were all science related, or they were all quantitative in nature. So balanced scorecard was the one which started from the public sector, from a council, Charlotte Council in one of the county in US. So it started from the public sector and the most popular tool in the public sector. While more than 80% companies in Europe and US, they are using balanced scorecard now. In Australia and New Zealand, the adoption rate of balanced scorecard is almost now 90%, especially in the council sectors or in the public sector. So we will learn what is this strategic planning process, and then we move into PMS BSC, balanced scorecard, that equation and relationship, and then we'll try to construct some financial, non-financial KPIs. So the important thing for you to learn is what is K stand for. K is key. So what is this key, all right? I mean, why are we using a word key performance indicator? So from where this term key has come. So there's a lot of research happened on this, and we will talk on how KPIs are constructed. Everybody has some KPIs. Even when I entered here, I had some very short-term KPI for me, self-imposed on me. There are a lot of KPIs which we are working right now on when we are attending this symposium or this lecture. And then I'll move into the role of benchmarking at the end. And the benchmarking is important. Somebody who's on left side, right side, up, down, okay, vertical, horizontal. Who is that benchmark for you? A very simple example is if you're studying in a class, your benchmark would be the student who is performing best in the class. That is your best benchmark. Maybe someone who's averagely performing in your class is your benchmark. So what is that? So relating that benchmark with the key, K from here, in key performance indicator, that is something very interesting to learn. So I'll try hopefully to complete this in 2.5 hours. Rule is, as Noor said, any question, anytime, please do ask me. As a speaker, what we do is often we change things last minute in the presentations. So you'll find in your presentation few things have changed. So don't worry, I'll send you the final version because we don't disclose everything, okay, upfront, all right? So there will be something there for you, something new. Otherwise, everything is with you. So for every organization, you always aim to stand out. So what is your existence as a company, as a public sector institutions? For you your customer is your client. Your customer is public. And your objective is to basically meet the needs and expectations of your clients, your customers. Customer is very commercial terms. Customers are used when you expect there is some element of profit involved, some element of revenue involved, some element of sales involved, all right? But in the public sector, we would be using a word, somebody who is partner with you is your client, where you want to deliver a service. But service, when you deliver a service, then there is some expectations and you would satisfy those expectations. For instance, if you are in a public sector institution and that public sector institution is passport office, for example, how long it takes to produce a passport from application to delivery to the person. It takes 1 month, 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour. So there are different levels, all right? If a customer's expectation is, I want passport in 1 day, you have satisfied the customer if that passport was delivered within 1 day. I have traveled in a number of countries. I've seen people wait hours and hours and days and weeks and months to get their traveling documents, passports. That is not a service we expect, all right? So when you define a company, you define an agency, all right? When you define an institutions, basically your expectations is here that number one, you define what is the segment. Even if in the public sector, you have different segments in a group of customers, what their needs are, and then finally is what is your distinctive competencies in every institution. If you don't do that, then you won't stand out. Then that is plain vanilla, like every institution is same. So key here is that defining customers groups and their expectations, and then based on that, linking it. Where's the projector? Oh, that's it, because it's taking time yet. Oh, that's there. Okay. So I can't use this? No? Okay. I was pretending I'm using this actually. All right. Okay. All right. So I didn't know that. Anyway, I thought like some magic happening. Okay. Sorry? Yeah. Only for that. Okay.
Only for the lesson.
That is PMS. All right? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Is that with that thing?
Yeah, it's working. Yeah. Okay. So it's there?
Yes.
Okay, I'll raise your hand. Okay, when I raise, it means next. Is that okay? Cool. That's good. So basically, it is more on distinctive competencies. Now let me give you examples here for distinctive competencies. All right? For example, take this institution. Means distinctive competency is the size, number, 7,000, 9,000 plus. Size in terms of area. Size in terms of the beauty of the way it is maintained. I'm really impressed actually with all I saw. I was not expecting, this was not my expectation. I'm really impressed. This is your distinctive competencies. Then distinctive competency is also in terms of intellectual capital. Now intellectual capital is basically the staff and resources here who are well educated. That is also called as distinctive competencies. So this is a public sector institution. Let's move out from public to the commercial. Simple example, KFC or McDonald's as fast food chains all over the world. What is their distinctive competencies? You will see that McDonald's and KFCs, they never open their stores in villages. They are always in the center and where the most of the population is. And in all those areas, this is in fact their mission, that they will open their chain stores only in the area where middle class lives. High class doesn't eat McDonald's, KFCs because of health issues. And low class doesn't eat because they are very expensive for them. And it's only the middle class. So all KFCs and McDonald's are always at the place where the most of the middle class lives. All right? This is what their competency is. They know that how to work with those competencies. All right? Then at the same time, you have seen airline industries. In airline industries, airlines now, they don't fly every destinations. Rather, they have now created cartels. Cartels are like, for example, if you're traveling from Sydney to New Zealand to San Francisco, you won't perhaps be having one plane. It may be Air New Zealand will take you from Sydney to Auckland, and from Auckland to San Francisco, it will be a different airline, which perhaps will be either Delta or United or and so on. That is basically having economies of scales. And both institutions work on their competencies. All right? Third example maybe is the arrangements and articulations and linkages, Professor, you just mentioned, is another thing. For example, we do have as a university some competencies, like our international profile is one, international ranking, but you also have competencies here. So both institutions, they meet and create that competencies. If we lump all these together, that is basically called business. And that business model is defined by Abels early in 70s and 80s, kept on extending that research, that how business become different and distinctive from others. So the purpose of every organization, every agency, every individual is to make it distinctive. All right? Next. Yeah. Now, let me further expand this. Okay? And my research is all about these 5 boxes. Now, how you create distinctiveness? In business terms or in accounting terms, this distinctiveness is called competitive advantage. All right? Now, competitive advantage is not profit you make. Competitive advantage is not just your location. Competitive advantage is not just your capabilities, which are from difference. Rather, it is a package of all those factors which make you different. Now, let's start with number 1, efficiency. Now, efficiency is if you are very efficient in using resources. Airline industry, I have given you example. Education sector, I have given you example. So what we are doing is we are trying to be efficient. So anything you achieve, for example, to make a product, units you needed was 100, but you achieve with 90, you are efficient. The more you spend than your target or your benchmark or budget, you are inefficient. Remember, efficiency is different from effectiveness. Effectiveness is measured in terms of time. Efficiency is measured in terms of dollars or rupiah or currencies, all right? Whereas effectiveness is the timeline. For example, if your objective was to achieve a target within 1 month and you did in half of a month, you are effective. You may not be efficient, but you are effective. It means efficiency and effectiveness, they are not complementary. They can go against. For example, you achieved a target within half month, but you spend more. Then basically you're not good. That is not your competencies, all right? So in accounting or in business or in finance as well, we try to be efficient. And second is in terms of quality, which is better. So example I have given you is KFC and McDonald's, and I love both because wherever I go, I always make sure, first thing I do is on Google search, where is the McDonald's in Jakarta center, all right? Where are the KFC stores in Jakarta center? I do that. And I note down and make sure I go there because of their standard is same. Whether you are in Manhattan in New York, you are in Chicago, you are in Toronto, you are in London, or you are in Jakarta, or you are in Sydney, or you are in Timbuktu, all right? They are same everywhere, okay? Quality is same. Now, how that quality is different. And the third factor is how innovative you are. So you might have realized that these chain stores, they keep on bringing new products. Product doesn't mean that you have to change absolutely a product which is new. Small and incremental change, that is also called as innovation, all right? Like you are changing your degree from accounting to finance, that is a radical change. But even very small change, changing a subject within a program, is also a change, okay? But that is called as incremental change. So remember that any change which is innovative, which is different, which makes you different, better looking from others, all right? New package, okay? It could be in any form, new style of selling a product. That is called as innovation. So keep on innovating, okay? So how continuously you are changing. Now, a lot of institutions, education institutions. You ask student, would you like to go to Oxford or Stanford or MIT in US? All right. Now, a student would straight away think Oxford is still 1920s. It's big institution. I'm not degrading that institution. All right. Still, that would come in my mind. So I asked my son. Okay, he wanted to go to further education from Sydney to US. I said Oxford and Cambridge could be a good option. He still said, oh, but that's 1920s and 1900s. I would go MIT because of the innovations. This is what client thinks. Whenever the client comes, they always want some or have some expectation of change, something different. Otherwise, if you don't do that, it's called as in accounting status quo. Status quo is dying, basically. Like what happened is you are rising, constant, and then after that, the next stage is always you start dying, all right? And then your age is over unless you innovate again. So remember that life cycle of businesses or the products or institutions. For every institution, even for the public sector. The public sector, people have some concepts of public sector institutions, all right? And that is less innovations. But in the public sector, what we propose in performance measurement system is more and more innovations, all right? And the fourth thing is how responsive you are, okay? For example, you have a deposit in a public sector institution, right? And there's something happened with your ATM card, all right? Now, there's a lot of money actually is dependent on your ATM card, and you want response. And you went to a branch say, okay, we'll investigate, and after 1 week, please do contact. But you will keep on stressing that you have thousands of your rupiahs or dollars on stake. You want a solution. You may not lose your money, but you want solutions. So how responsive that agency is, all right, to the client, to the customer, or that institution is to the client and customers, that is defined here in terms of customer responsiveness. So this is very much commercial, but this is in public sector. This example is in the public sector. So if you see that now the new public management, all institutions are going towards commercial-like look, commercial-like operations. And accordingly, our performance measurement systems are also more of private style organizations. All right, so there is no distinction between public sector and a private sector. The only difference between these two types of institutions is the nature of work they do. Public sector institutions, they serve the nation, serve the public, whereas commercial organizations, they work for customers, and maybe the goal and motives are different. But the way you approach, if you look at these four things, the way you approach, they are different. So adding these four together, it creates some advantage for you, all right? Now that advantage could lead to low cost, or it could be in terms of differentiation. So Michael Porter's, you might have all read, remember that in 1980s when Michael Porter started researching on competitive advantage, then he came up with the idea of that institutions survive for these two initially. Then in 1985, he added focus into these two dimensions. And then from there, basically, a lot of research happened on creating a competitive advantage. So the second lesson I want to give you is that when you are developing a good performance measurement system, you have to decide what exactly your competitive advantage is. Would you go for low cost or differentiation? Next. Yeah. So this is a complete cycle. Now, I'll give you a very simplified form. It seems very complicated. It's not. Okay? I assure you this is very simple model. So what happens is you have your existing business model, which I have just shown you, And then from there, basically you develop your mission and vision. Mission and vision basically is a statement of your existence in very simple form. You don't need to read long definition. Your statement of existence. What for you are there. What for you have created a company. What for you exist. Like as a human being you came, all right? And God or Allah has given you something, all right? You have a mission, all right? And you follow that mission, clear? Now that mission, for every company, there are some missions from where you create some values and goals. That's from where performance measurement systems work. It doesn't work like this. Companies spend 6 months or more than 6 months just to create values and goals. And those will be based on scanning environment, all right? Internally as well as externally. And then from there, you create strategies, functional, business, global, corporate levels. And then in the public sector, one more layer is governance and ethics management. And then finally, you end up with having your own structure, whether having a specific culture or management control systems or a typical organization structure. For public sector, structure is often like this. For commercial organization, it is often more horizontal. So you are more in the vertical structure, okay? There are different levels, all right? That is the difference between commercial and non-commercial organizations. But what you see is here, once your company is set, your agency is set, all right? So then you create a feedback loop. It doesn't close. At cyclical, all right, moves on. And then you assess the performance and you go back into the, here in the business model and you change business model and continue. Now adding these all boxes together, what you're doing is you either formulating a strategy for your company or you are implementing a strategy in either of stage. Now let's give you a simplest version of this on the next slide. Yeah, so this is the simplest form to explain. So what you see here is you scan environment because you can't work in isolations, whatever form of organization you are. The example I gave you is the McDonald's and KFCs and middle class, that is environment. But for public sector, environment is more complicated. Complicated in a way because you have regulations, rules, governments, different agencies, different expectations, controls, budgets, and so on. And you need to follow those rules. You can ask me a question if there's any question. I think that was a rule. If there's any question, people can ask me. Don't just listen to me because I'm feeling I'm teaching. I'm not here to teach, I'm here to share, all right? So please do ask, and we do have prizes here. So somebody who would, yeah, Enda, you keep it with you, and anybody will ask question first. I have a ticket to Sydney for you, all right? So anybody who wants to see kangaroos, please raise your hand. Anyone? Come on, anyone who wants to go to Sydney? Come on, raise your hand.
Yeah, anyone? Just raise your hand and make a simple and understandable question. Don't forget to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I like, here's a diary here. And first question, okay? Just one for you, okay, question.
Good morning, Mr. Rahat.
You get diary first because you'll ask easy question to me. All right, okay.
Okay. I have one question for you. My name is Adwin. I'm from Financial Management Department. I'm a lecturer on that department. I would ask about the gap between implementation of performance measurement in public and private entity, because since it's more easy to have a measurement on financial measurement in private entity, since we are on public entity, something the result, the target is a intangible target, such as welfare or something. Maybe we think about when we try to have infrastructure development, maybe we just have a measurement in the 5 years later. What your advice for us to have a better performance measurement system to measure that kind of intangible result of target?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, I have a number of slides later, but I think that's a good question, but I'll explain more at that time. Now, public sector institutions, they are more having intangibles, all right? Or intangible assets, intangible performance measures, or targets and KPIs. Right? But there's a problem. The problem for intangibles or non-financial KPIs or targets is they're difficult to measure because of subjectivity. How would I measure your performance, okay, in terms of quality of what you do? Quality is very difficult, so you have to have a financial, some benchmark, all right? Like number of hours of teaching you do, number of hours of work you do, all right? Number of products you deliver, number of clients you deal, all right? So there would be some quantity involved with non-financials, all right? So this is what public sector institutions are doing, all right? So basically, if you are only alone with the non-financial measure, you would always be struggling to measuring it in terms of performance of your people, performance of your strategic business unit, or even as an agency as a whole. So my advice in that case would be, and this is what most of the institutions they do in Australia as well as in US, is combining financial and non-financial. And I think that is the reason why your institution has adopted balanced scorecard, because it combines everything. But sometimes it becomes very difficult. For example, customer satisfaction. All right. Now, customer satisfaction is the customer come to you, all right, and you deal with that customer. Customer is very happy. Customer is satisfied. All right. And because that customer was very happy when the customer came from home. But a customer comes and had a fight with her wife, all right, and come to you, you gave the same service. But customer is angry, still angry, all right? Customer is angry because he had something at home and he's coming with the same mood, and you are dealing with that customer, and then customer is not satisfied. So same customer, two different settings of the backgrounds have a different satisfaction level. One is satisfied, other one is not satisfied. This is called as subjectivity, and it's very, very difficult to measure. So therefore, you have to have a balanced scorecard type of measures where you combine non-financial measures with the financial measures, which I'll talk more why we need such types of measures, and we'll dig down more into leading measure. So customer came, was angry from home, that's lead to that dissatisfaction. Customer came, was very happy at home, that's leading to a satisfaction. Okay, so there are two different things which you need to understand. It's very deep actually and very complicated when you develop those KPIs for your staff and your agency as a whole as well. All right, so it may not be your fault, but it is reflected that you have not achieved that target because of certain environment. That's what I'm saying is scanning the environment at the top, it is very important for the public sector institution. Private sector is easy. Working for private sector is easy because they know exactly, where things get done, but you cannot because you're bound by regulations. You're bound by rules. You're bound by budgets. And you want to do something, and suddenly your higher up boss will say, sorry, we don't have budget for this. Now, what to do? You want to deliver. This is what I'm telling you. You have to have competencies. all right? But what happened is you cannot do because of there are some budget restrictions. Certainly some government regulations change happen, it trickles down and impacts you, all right, without any logic and any reason, all right? And as a result, what happened is your performance is affected. So for private sector, commercial organizations, it's very easy. For McDonald's, something happens in that area, then they'll just pull their investment out and spend somewhere else. Very easy for that. That's called as mobility of investment. So mobility is very easy for you, okay, in the private sector, commercial organization. But in the public sector, mobility is very, very difficult. You can't just terminate all staff, all right, in the public sector and say, oh, we are creating budget cuts and we are creating a new department which is very smaller. You cannot do in the public sector because of constitutional protection to the employees and the public, basically those who work, all right, and the protection in terms of rules and regulations. So public sector institutions are very much rules bounded. So this is very important when you start building your performance management system. Basically that's what you are asking. And then you come into assessing. So you all have learned this SWOT analysis you do. This is ABCD of business, basically, all right? Everybody does this, like what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Some companies, they go beyond that, all right? Public sector institutions, they use pest analysis, all right, and more. So there are a number of different approaches used. So the approach which I use is same Michael Porter's of 1995's approach of SWOT analysis and create values and visions, and then from there strategic issues, priorities, and then you have a PMS at the end. So what is a PMS? PMS is the output, end result of all these activities. So this package, whole package, is your strategic planning process. So what you're doing is you are from strategic planning, you are creating a performance measurement systems, and during that process, you also build benchmarks, all right, which is very, very important for every institution. No performance measurement system can operate if you do not have a benchmark. Your last year performance could be your benchmark. Your best performance in other agencies, okay, could also be your benchmark. So you have to create a benchmark for having excellent performance measurement system. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is scanning, okay? Now how it works? There's no left to right, right to left. Remember, there's no such thing. The scanning happens from left to right, like you do for external and then you enter into internal, or you first do internal scanning and then end to external scanning. No, it happens simultaneously. So whatever is happening here, it's internal, all right? Whatever is outside this auditorium is external, simple. Whatever is within this institution is within these boundaries internal. Whatever is outside is external. Whatever is within Indonesia is internal to Indonesia. Whatever is external to Indonesia is external, global. So you look at size-wise from this auditorium to the country level, then how it becomes. So it becomes domestic to national to international and global. All right. So this is how you assess and create what is important for you. For instance, internals are, what are your capabilities? One of the greatest capability is your staff, their education, their qualification, their experience, their expertise. That is capabilities. Now, capabilities are of two types. One is static. Static means a person comes, doesn't learn anything, it stays same. So what happens if that is the graph over a period of time? A person came and then 10 years after, same. All right, that is called as static. The most harmful thing for any organization is static capabilities. Capabilities have to be dynamic. Dynamic means changing, and there has to be upward trend in terms of your capabilities. Like your qualifications improving, your experience going up, your expertise moving, all right? Like that's why people, I think here's a system after 3 years, you go for some work experience. That is capability, basically. This is what your institution is doing. And that is fabulous, actually. I'm very happy to see that you people are doing in that way. This is called dynamic capabilities. And institutions survive if you create such a capabilities and then person come back into learning mode again. So there is learning, experience, and learning. That is the ideal framework for any institutions, all right? So from internal, what you do is from resources and capabilities, you create competencies, and then from there you enter into industry, and then at a very high macroeconomic level. For public sector, basically there's a lot of work done here at a macroeconomic level, like your agencies, public sector institutions. So this is called as environmental scanning. So these are the factors basically which influence you. So there is no order. It could even be in this way, and left to right, right to left, any form, any time, that can happen. Next slide, please. I'm sorry you have to live with this. Yeah. So this is another thing, is what you learn is creating a sense within your organization from external environment entering into internal environment. What is uniqueness about you? So you do SWOT analysis. This is what SWOT analysis is. But differentiate them into two. What is harmful and what is useful? Harmful, you cut that, all right? As a human, you might have something like surgery happen, doctors cut some piece from here because that is harmful. So patient never get annoyed actually with that, but patient is very happy because that was very harmful piece within your body, all right? So same thing happens in institutions. If there's something very harmful and damaging your institutions, you will not follow that, all right? And these harmful things could either create a weakness or could create a threat, but you would try to make sure they are converted into strengths and opportunities. Next slide, please. This is example. I think you can read example. I'm conscious of time, and I have to finish at 11:30, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I'm definitely I'll be able to. So this is example how one can do. I pick it from one of the company on internet. You can perform these analyses for your institution, all right? Now I have a question for you, because you're not asking question. So we are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for your institution, let's not do to your institution because head of department is here. Transportation system in Jakarta, okay? I'm loving it actually. So many cars and less people and more cars, all right? That's what I say, all right? Everywhere, okay? Now, you tell me strengths, that far left wing, okay? That's a window seat on a plane, all right? You people tell me weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, okay? And I got prizes, 1 or 2 who will give me, yep. Okay, let's start with that. Yes, anyone? All right, strength. Come on, it's too much thinking. Just tell me one.
Apa? Tapi juga mau.
Come on, hurry up. Strength of your transportation system. Okay, I got just 1 minute, okay, to get everyone done. I'm coming. Strength. Yeah, there's a game happening. The whole team is sitting together and trying to find out our strength. Yeah? Come on, come on. One. Your teachers can help you. Then, Mike.
Beside talking about the weakness, opportunity and threat, okay? Prepare for that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So decrease in increasing in tax revenue. Wow, okay. He's a typical government mind person, all right? So increase in tax revenue and so on. Weakness. Come on. This is a big group. Yep, here, got Mike here.
Well, we know in advanced country, the transportation system is massive and rapid. Whether in Jakarta, I think it's not massive, it's not rapid, and it's not interlinked with another transportation system like the bus and the commuter line or the other transportation system. So it's not massive, it's not rapid, and it's not interlinked. Thank you.
According to me, there will be a bonus demographic for us. There will be a very large urban to go to Jakarta, though, so it will be profitable to invite the investor to go here to invest about transportation system here. I think it will be profitable for them.
Thank you. For us, maybe the threat of a transportation system might be the political will, and then there's the budget constraint from the government, space, investment in the transportation system itself.
into opportunities and threats also into strengths, okay? For example, budget cuts, as you said, all right? If that is the threat, then public-private partnership could be done, okay? So what you are doing is you're creating an opportunity and converting that threat into a strength. So what you are doing is number one, it is no more your weakness, it is no more your threat, but you are converting this into your strength. This is what a performance measurement system does for you. It helps you. So performance measurement system is not just assessing performance and you say, here's the budget, here's the actual, and here's the variance. That is not a performance measurement system. Performance measurement system is how you deliver best. And I started my discussions with giving you explanation on that's the best way to assess a performance is that you have a bigger business model and create competencies. So end result and aim of any performance measurement system, including balanced scorecard is one performance measurement system. There are multiple performance measurement systems, right, which creates competencies for you. That's what you want, okay? So assessing performance to improve, okay, not to penalize people, okay, or businesses and departments and agencies. So how you improve, that is very, very crucial. So one diary, I think, can go that girl and then one here. I think so that was the best. I'm sorry I have limited. I wish I would have brought 300, but that's what I have. Okay, next slide. Okay. Now, now I know everything, all right? Okay, now let's enter more into company. I think that would be very interesting, and then I would know your vision as well, okay? So everybody does have a vision. I do have, as individual, myself, I have a vision. I want to achieve something, all right? And that vision is my brand. So every person does have a brand, okay? Every company does have a vision. So when you see big M, all right, it says, immediately it comes to your mind, McDonald's. If you see this sign, then everybody knows that, you know, it's Google in my pocket. So one question, and one more, I think so, it's very important. Who invented Wi-Fi? How many of you are on iPhone, having raised your hand or phone? Please raise your hand. How many of you have phones? Everyone. I think in fact the question should be who doesn't have. So that'll be hardy. So who invented Wi-Fi? I have a question, beautiful gift for you guys. Who invented Wi-Fi? It's a very simple answer. If you just look at logo of my presentation, that will give you answer. Just look at logo of my presentation. Macquarie University, okay? Macquarie University invented Wi-Fi. It's a hair gift here. Who said Macquarie? You said? Fantastic, all right? So we do have a lot of innovations, scientific innovations, and Wi-Fi was one with CSIRO. Macquarie was in that part of that team who invented Wi-Fi. So it was a team of Australians who did, and then Americans extended further from there. That is one of the key achievements for Macquarie University. Now, effective visions. Number one, it does provide a significant purpose. What for you live. Okay, like even the missionary peoples, they do have purpose. So what is that existence? Now look at Google's mission and vision is that they want world's, organize the world's information. Very clear, okay, and it's linked with the visions. So what business are you doing? And that business is information business. It has to be in your vision. And then, does it provide a picture of the future? That you want to be providing information which is accessible and usable. Where? Universally. So their market is entire globe. And they want the information be accessible, and it is. You are in the port, you are on the airport, you are on a train station, you are on a bus stop, or wherever you are, you have phone with you. Basically, your partner is now your phone all the time in your pocket. All right? That is your mission. That is your vision. All right? So paint that picture, what you want to be in the future. It has to be like that. So performance measurement system is forward-looking, not backward-looking. So the traditional performance measurement systems were always backward looking. So what you did in the past, and then now you're saying, okay, you didn't perform well, therefore these are things as a penalty on you. So that is not a performance measurement system. Performance measurement systems are more forward looking. And why it is? Because of your vision and your mission there, all right? And last is, does it provide a clear values? So what are your values? Culture, efficiency, effectiveness, better customer service, staff morale, staff satisfaction, management satisfaction, good decision making, friendly environment in a company or in a workplace. These are your values. So when people talk in Indonesia about accounting, then immediately this institution's name came in their mind, accounting, big. Means I've traveled a lot in the world. I think I've seen this is the institution very much dedicated to accounting. Hardly you'll find this. This is value. This is how you create a value, all right? So what is that distinctiveness? So this is how you create a vision. Can we move quickly to the next one? Now, effective vision and mission, I'll take both, depends on your leadership. So performance measurement system moves up and down. It comes from up, and from bottom it goes up. It's not one way up and down, all right? Or from leaders there. But leaders play very critical role in managing performance. So look at this research, what has happened, where you would like to be in green. So this is a scorecard, balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard works with lights, all right? Like your signals, okay? When you're going to road, there are the signals, red, yellow, and green. So green means all good, move on. Red means stop. There is some hazard there, all right? Other traffic is flowing and so on. And amber or yellow means, yep, it's okay, you can move on, but be careful. All right? So same thing is here when you develop your performance measurement system is leaders with strong visionary skills will have always high performing teams. So it means if leaders with clear vision of a future, and that vision could be short term, could be long term, and could be very long term as well. For instance, vision could be for 1 year. Vision could be for 3 years. Vision could be for 20 years even. So companies do have long-term plan. For example, if you're in a bank and a client comes to you and say, I want running finance or working capital financing. Okay, you must all be studying this. Working capital finance I need, especially finance students. Working capital is finance you need to run your day-to-day operations. So immediately, it will come in your mind short term. But someone comes and say, I want to invest in production facilities. Then the bank will look at your 10 years or 15 years. In some cases, like if it's a World Bank, they look at 25 years of your cash flows. That is forward-looking, 10, 15, and 20, 25 years of your cash flows. But in working capital financing, it is just 1 year of your cash flows would be enough. So there's one is working capital, other one is a project finance. And this is how it works here as well. So it's all green. If that vision is there, it's all green, move on. All right? All good for your organization. Second level could be leaders with good management skills, but they're not visionary. They're very good in managerial, managing things, excellent in that, but without vision, then their teams would be average teams. It means there is a need for converting these managerial skills into visionary skills so that you have high-performing teams. So this is a warning. A balanced scorecard or performance measurement system would give you that you need to build that vision. So it means the lesson learned from this slide is you cannot build a performance measurement systems without vision or visionary skills. And they are top down, okay? It's not your job at a low level or low level employees. It's from the top, it trickles down to the middle and to low level. And this is what cascading is done, right? How it cascades, which we were talking in the morning. Third is, this is red, stop, all right? It's very harmful if you keep on doing. And that is leaders with weak vision and managerial skills. Haphazard, coerce in the company. Very haphazard manner things are done, all right? And you create a mess within organization. It's all the time hoo-ha in a company, no achievements, results, all right? So there are three scenarios now. This is called as no for any performance measurement system. Here you convert no into yes, and here it is all yes and yes. So this is the situation you would always like to have for your organization when you develop your performance measurement systems. So when you work on your balanced scorecard in the future, when you will be at work, you would always like to see green lights, and red light will give you an indicator like there's something wrong within the institution. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. Luckily, I picked this one, McDonald's Indonesia, and I'll try to share with you this story as well. So what you need to define is, now we are slowly moving into balanced scorecard, okay? So you know the under expectations, but we haven't done the balanced scorecard, okay? So you will know shortly what exactly balanced scorecard is, and I'll spend around 1 hour on balanced scorecard. So when you do prepare your performance measurement system and balanced scorecard, primarily you need to define what are your strategies. So you have a vision. Vision is you want to be excellent. But to be excellent, you have to take certain actions. Now, what are those actions and what are those activities? They are called strategies. For example, if you have to move from here to outside to catch your in a parking area for your car, but you have to walk, and then there is a certain way. You can't just go on this side and parking is on that side, all right? So what are those steps you take in a right direction? That is called as strategy. So at a corporate level, there is a strategy. McDonald's corporate strategy is expansion. At a very senior level, high level is just expansion. How would that happen? Then you have to look at the global strategy of McDonald's. So this is just Indonesians. Global McDonald's strategy is also expansion. So that is reflected into Indonesians' corporate level strategies. And then third layer is a business level. Like, does that really matters for a business to undertake activities in a certain way that you achieve your corporate level strategies? And basically what you do is, here at a business levels, you try to create either you be a cost effective or you are trying to create some competitive advantage through differentiation. Again, back to the Michael Porters. Those are your business, very much business specific. So you might have number of businesses, and those businesses are called as strategic business units within the organization. So there might be a number of strategic business units. Each business unit will have a different vision, different value, and a different goal. Therefore, there are different business level strategies. And the last one is functional. So within each business, then there are number of functions you perform, and then how you perform those functions. Next one, can I move to next? Now, this is, again, when I talked about competitive advantage, the another perspective of looking at strategy is becoming a cost leader or a product differentiation. This is also Michael Porter's, right, of generic strategies. And then accordingly, this will help you to adopt a strategy, and then based on that, you will build your performance measurement system.
Thank you. My name is Priyan Narwayutomo from Diploma 4 program. You use a lot reference to McDonald's. So I read about the McDonald's brand mission is to be our customers' favorite place and way to eat and drink. And then recently, McDonald's released a new innovation called Nasi Uduk Set. Nasi uduk is a traditional Indonesian food. It's like a flavored rice. Nasi uduk is good. It is tasty, but I don't think it's a. It doesn't go well with fried chicken. Maybe it's equivalent in Australia is like burger with Vegemite. Maybe it doesn't go well. What I want to ask is it because McDonald's acknowledge their strength that they are a global brand, they already have a big name in Indonesia, so they can afford to do a business innovation that maybe can backfires. Because McDonald's is already famous here.
Yeah, I got your question. That's okay. Okay. I think it's a very interesting question. And okay, so let's look at McDonald's detail. McDonald's have the vision in terms of they say they are global and they're domestic. Okay, so they are global, they're domestic. So there are certain products which are common wherever you are, whether you are in US or any European country or any Asian country, China, Vietnam, or wherever you are, all right, or in Australia, there are some common products. Then for each region, they have their regional products. The example you're giving is Indonesian. This is what they expect, because people expect some association, or they want people, they link some of their association with the global brand by bringing their product. So you'll find the same thing in China, Australia as well. Angus is a burger which is nowhere it's available, all right? But that's only in Australia. There's Australian beef, all right? That is domestic product. In Japan, I've seen their local brand. In India, I've seen their local brand, all right? Every country does that. Some of them fail, some doesn't, all right? It depends on local. This is called business level strategies, basically. It's not a corporate level, it's a business level strategies. So what their vision is that while they are global, but at the same time, they want to be regional, okay? Specific to countries' culture, countries' expectations, so people's expectation. And this is one of the greatest strength of McDonald's. They are not just local, but they are global. Now let's see the fast foods who compete with McDonald's. Subway, Apoto, you might have not heard the name of Apoto. Burger King, all right? There are many others. And if you compare these brands with McDonald's, there's marked difference in terms of their customer base and in terms of their revenue also. So Burger King is also US based, McDonald's is also US based. But in Australia, Burger King long ago left, and then they sold all their operations to Hungry Jack's. All right, that's what it happened there, because they were not able to compete All right? So good institutions are the ones who penetrate in the local cultures, and McDonald's does have that abilities. All right? So some products, basically, they succeed and some fail. So it doesn't need to be like every product succeed. All right? It's always that you learn from the products which fail, and based on that, then you build. And this is all about performance measurement system. That you don't just finish a performance measurement system and say, okay, this is done, now next move on to the next year's one. You in fact close the loop. All right? So McDonald's will try to come back and say, okay, how we can fix this. This is your business level strategy. All right? That's how companies operate. But this is a very interesting question as well. Okay, next one, please. Yeah. Now, I'll spend a few minutes on this, because now we have done vision, values, strategies. Now, let's talk about performance measurement system. That is a bit complicated when we measure performance, whether it is the public sector and a private sector. Aim here is improved performance, enhanced performance, excellent performance, best performance. So performance, when we use word here, it means performance is increasing all the time. You're becoming more efficient, you're becoming more effective. That's what aim of any performance measurement system is. So you try to look at what exactly your weaknesses are through that performance measurement system, and then work on that so that your performance improves in the future. And performance measurement system create competencies for a company. So performance measurement system is very useful. It doesn't create harm to a company. If it does, then that is very bad performance measurement system. So how does it work? It starts with studying the environment. We did that, macro, industry, and inside. Then you create a plan based on your mission, vision, goal, activities, and a long list. You work. Some of these would work on you, and some of these may not be relevant to you, but you work on all those which are relevant. Third is execute plan. So there might be many activities happen before organizing this event. But now what we're doing is we are executing this action plan. This is happening now. So when you prepare your performance measurement system, basically what you do is you ensure that it is implemented the way it was conceptualized. And then fourth stage is measure results. Now, what managers they do is they often do two blunders. First one is they don't follow the sequence. This is a sequence 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can't start here, execute plans and create a plan and study environment. You cannot do that. It has to be environment. From there, you enter into a plan, and then you implement, and then you measure. So first mistake is people, they break that sequence. All right? In any performance measurement system, it has to be like that. Clear? So it is environment, number one, and number two is planning, third is execution, and fourth is measurement. Second blunder managers often they do in any form, public or private sector, they misconceptualize or misunderstood. Performance measurement system is all about measuring results. No. The answer is no. The answer is no. If this is in your mind, remember what you're doing is you're doing performance measurement of 1920s. Maybe at that time it used to happen that you have a budget, you have actual and a variance. After that you all clap, all done. Okay, next year, move on. No action, nothing. So the purpose is not just to measure, purpose is to improve performance. So it means these three pieces are very important for any performance measurement systems. And if any of that piece from that puzzle is missing, then your performance measurement system is not effective. And I use word at the beginning, effective. So to create any competitive advantage, you have to be very effective and efficient. And if you're not, if any of these pieces are missing, all right? So remember that you follow this principle as a model for creating any performance measurement system. So it's not that easy, because you are crafting here a number of tasks, KPIs, and so on, and then you compare with the actual results, you create benchmarks, and you go back here and then come back here. This is on and on and on every year, all right? So performance measurement system is not static, it is a process, and it is a continuous process. All the time, your performance is being measured at an individual level, at an agency level, at a strategic business unit level, at a corporate level, at an institutional level, okay, at a very high level. It's continuously performance measurement system is operating, okay? So it is not one-off activity, or it is a static in a nature that you have just measured a performance and you moved on into rest of the years for nothing, and then next year starts, and then you start again your performance measurement systems. So softwares do help you to creating and implementing your performance measurement system. Next one, if we go. Now, in the morning, I think there was you use the word balance. That's a balance, okay, here. Everything is a balance, all right, and life is balance. Like here also, it's a balance, right? And one of, and then if one of these people, their timing differs even by seconds. They lose even a friction of the second. If they lose that timing, they lose a race. You know how close they are is even one friction of a second, they lose the race. So there has to be a balance of all people, those who are in a team. No left, no right, no up and down. It is a team. Now, something is, if you don't measure results, you can't tell what your failures are and what your strengths are. So you can't tell the story. So what is your story of your company? So we're talking about McDonald's. I gave you a number of examples. So what is the story? So PMS tells you the story of a company. PMS tells you what has been happening. And PMS tells you that's where we are good at and where our weaknesses are. And let's focus more on our strengths and work on those weaknesses to convert them into strengths. So storytelling of a company is in a PMS. So if you want to describe a company, how good you are, then you just look at performance measurement system of that company. Then you can't recognize success. So you have to have some good stories in the company and recognizing them. Asking a question, giving a gift is a recognition, all right? So that recognition should happen. So who are your rock stars in a company or in your agency or your organizations, all right? Who perform excellently, so they become benchmarks. So you need to have those stories as well. If you can't measure it, you can't neither manage it nor improve it. It means there's something wrong with your measurement system. So if you can't measure, it is a very superficial level, then basically you can't manage it. So therefore, it is very, very important. So these are don'ts, okay? Don't do these things. So you have to turn them into do's which you have to do. All right? So don'ts are the ones which you would never be doing. Can you move to the next slide, please? So in a performance measurement system, so this is one of the example of a scorecard in rugby. So if the game is happening, there is no scorecard, how would you know like who's winning and who's losing? So you need a scorecard. All right? And those scorecards would be in terms of comparing two of these teams who are competing and how much time is left, how many penalties, and comparing because there are points in rugby based on those, and this is how you measure it. So if you can't keep scores, okay, in a match, any match, okay, what is the big game here in Indonesia? Football, rugby, all right? If you don't have score, it's just a practice match because there are no referees, no one. So basically you're not measuring, okay? So moving into a performance measurement system. So any type of performance measures could either be inputs related, your budgets, especially in the public sector, they are inputs, what you can do. And there are limits and boundaries to achieve those budgets. Outputs. So outputs are in terms of units. Often people, they confuse output with outcomes. These are two different things. Output is a simple quantity of units you produced, time you managed, but that may not be outcome. Outcome is satisfactory or unsatisfactory. Remember? When I said intangible, and there was a question here from non-financial measure, if you're measuring performance of a customer satisfaction, that is outcome. Okay, that is not the output. Output might be a good service you provided, you delivered on time, but the outcome might be different. It means output and outcomes can be different. So a good performance measurement system always look at the outcomes and the results, not on the outputs. Please do remember, a good PMS is outcome related, not output related. Okay? If your focus is on output, you just produce products that may be a waste for your organization. I think that McDonald's, from their example, is classic example of outcome versus output. So there is an output, but outcome is zero. All right? That is a very good example of this. So a good PMS would be always ending with results and outcome. Otherwise, it is just a practice. This is not a real performance measurement system. Next slide, please. Now, another important factor in any good performance measurement system is lead and lag KPIs, indicators. Anyone knows that? Anyone here knows what is the lead and lag indicators? Okay, let me explain you. Your objective here is to achieve your maybe level 4 diploma or level 3 diploma, whatever. That's your objective, for example. All right? If you qualify every step and the outcome is that diploma, all right? That's what it is, all right? Now this is your lag indicator. Now lag indicator is your KPI, key performance indicator. Please try to understand this is very important when you do balanced scorecard. So there are a lot of things behind balanced scorecard, but you should know what exactly the difference between these things are. Now lag is your outcome. So what leads you to achieve that outcome? So this is your lag KPI, then you have lead KPIs. So to achieve that, what you do is you work hard, study every day, go to library, consult your academic staff, all right? read books, do assignments. So all these activities are leading to your ultimate outcome, which is your lag KPIs. That's what it is. It can be in a shape of financial performance. It can be in terms of non-financial performance, which you indicated. All right? So there are a number of activities. Now another example, very simple example, if you want to travel from here to Bali and you want to drive. All right? So Bali, reaching to Bali within a certain time is your lag, objective, ultimate outcome. So what you will do is in the morning when you want to drive, you will check fuel in your car, you will check tires, who is going with you, all right? Where would you stop? Where would you have your lunch, your breakfast or snacks and some rest, and then you move on. So all those activities you have undertaken, they are themselves indicators, but they are called as lead indicators. So if I show you the next slide, so lag are the outcomes, and it could be in financial terms or non-financial terms. So end result of any performance measurement system is in a shape of lag indicators. But there are many, many lead indicators. For instance, if you're going for exam, so pass and fail in exam is your lag, but you're preparing for exam is your lead. Am I clear on that? That there are leading activities which leads to a lag, which is outcome. All right? So next slide, please. So leading and lag indicators. So lagging indicator in simple word is your big goal. Okay, so what is that big goal, big outcome you intend to achieve? And leading indicators are basically evidence of progress, what you do, steps. Okay? So those small steps, activities you undertake, they are your leading indicators. Lag indicator doesn't work in isolation. Please do remember, you cannot achieve your lag indicator if you fail to achieve your leading indicators. You have to have leading indicators and success in your leading indicators to achieve your lag indicators. Therefore, both lag and lead indicator works together. So once you set your lag indicator, top goal, then you work back and then develop leading indicators. This is how we do in a balanced scorecard. So the focus is more on leading. So your strategies are what? And so now you realize why I'm talking about strategies here. One can say, oh, you're talking about PMS, why strategies are here? Strategies are here because strategies are your leading activities, which leads to achieve a certain goal and results and the objectives and the outcomes at the end. So I use a word, PMS is not static. PMS is very dynamic, progressive, moving, okay, all the time. That's what a good PMS is. So gone those days now when we used to have a very static PMS. If we can move to the next slide, please. So the further is, these are just examples I just gave you. I think we can skip this slide. But lagging indicators, if you want to lose weight, leading indicators would be what you do. This is a very simple example. So if you want to lose weight, if you say 5 kg you want to lose, what would you will be doing? Less intake, more exercise, more walk, and less stress, then you would be able to achieve your objective. These two slides are not there. I intentionally didn't put it there. So I just wanted to create some suspense amongst you guys. So these slides are not there. Can we have next slide, please? Now, this is another slide. When I was doing a breakfast in the morning, I was writing it for you guys. Don't worry, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Very quick one. It just ideas came in my mind. When you're developing lag and lead indicator, and then I'm also using a term KPIs. And then I'm also using a word measure, performance measure. Now the question is, what's the difference between these three things? Often what happens is when we use a word indicator, we often have financial and quantitative measure in our mind. Measure is how you do, whether you have achieved something or not. So when you put a fuel in your car, there's an indicator, but you're not measuring it's a good quality fuel or not. That's qualitative. So you see the difference? Indicator is on the pump, that you know that how many of liters of fuel you had in your car, but there's a pump in your hand and that fuel is going inside. You don't know the quality of the fuel. That's where the measure would come. So measure is quantitative and qualitative both. Now the modern terminology for this is called as KPI. The KPI is that if you are fuel and measuring quality of fuel, it's a very small example. But there could be hundreds and thousands and millions of indicators in your company. Do you want to achieve everything? No, that is not the aim. Maybe 5, 10, 15 or 20. So the question is, what are the most important indicators for your organization? For example, if you're measuring performance of company in terms of profitability, so you say, okay, we can look at revenue, we can look at profit margin, we can look at gross profit margin, we can look at in terms of total quantitative profit generated, okay, by segment, by groups, and so on. You can do so many things, but all will end up giving you one result, which is profitability. So why not just use a profit margin? So profit divided by your revenues and sales or income. That's it. That is more than enough. All right. Now that one indicator which gives you a performance, holistic performance of a company or agency, that is called as key. So what is that key? From where it has driven, it is basically that one specific measure or indicator you want to achieve. Like as individual performance. So as a academic, individual performance could be how many lectures you deliver, what is the scoring of the students about how much time you spend on teaching, how much time you spend on research, what type of research you undertake, how many papers you publish, how many conferences you attend, and on and on and on and on. So in academia, when we were doing in our university, in a PMS, I ended up around 90 plus measures. And we were wondering, are we going to check and apply on one staff member all those 90s? That staff member would simply faint. Okay, we didn't do that. And we did 3 measures only, which were key. Your teaching output, your research output, your service to community. 3 things, that's it, all right? And those were called as our key performance measures. So you don't need to have hundreds and thousands. Some people are fond of writing so many measures, it confuses everyone, all right? The companies, rather your senior people, perhaps just to show that how knowledgeable they are, they craft so many measures. Having right measure is very important. Like even if you have more measures, it is better to segment them and group them. Teaching and research, that's it. So one segment and group is teaching, the other segment is research. That's what we do basically. So there are 3 measures, that's it. This is how we assess. And staff themselves rate themselves, and then I at the end measure their performance. Very simple. In a few seconds we assess everything, we interact, talk, and then everyone is happy at the end. That's the outcome of the PMS. The other thing is how rigid these KPIs should be. Remember, KPIs keep on changing. Don't say that like this is the one, no, I have said this, it cannot change, it will continue as it is. No. The performance measure or indicator should be very flexible and changing when there's a change in the environment, change in expectations. All right? So don't say that at the end of the year, what we decided at the beginning would be the one which we would measure. Don't do in that sort of way. That defeats the whole purpose of having a balanced scorecard as well. So you keep on having more and more measures. Next slide, please. Now, this is very simple, very quick I would do, because I'm conscious of time as well. And you are all constantly sitting here. We can take a question. Because after this slide, it's all about balanced scorecard. Yep. There? Okay. Please. If you
I have two questions.
Wow.
Please introduce your name.
My name is Rio. The first question is about the KPI. Do you take it from the lag indicator or the lead indicator or a mix of them? The second question I have is, in our Ministry of Finance, we have the BCG. I'm a bit confused about, is that a performance indicator or a performance measurement or management? So is that the same thing, or they're different? Because in the classroom, there's a question that the lecturer asked us. Is having a BCG as a performance measurement a good thing?
BCG, Boston Consulting Group, you're talking. Is that?
BS, Balanced Scorecard, sorry.
Yeah, BSc, okay.
BSc. Is that good for us? In my previous unit, because the BSc is a performance measurement, what happens is the staff, they all have green indicators for the key performance. And what happens is it doesn't indicate what's wrong with the unit, but it's all well. So what do you think about that problem?
Okay.
Is that good,
No,
just bad governance or wrong KPI?
I really don't think so. This is a problem. Okay. Number one is when we say balanced scorecard, basically your question is one, I would say. All right. Balanced scorecard at the end, at a high level, would show your KPIs. KPIs are lag indicators, remember. Output, your result. Okay, so they are always lag. But behind those KPIs, there are lead, which are hidden. And you're expected to create your own lead indicators. Sometimes organizations, they give them a lead indicators. Sometimes, like what I do, okay, is I ask people to create their own lead indicators. Then I have my lag indicator. All right? For example, if we say research, we want 2 top quality publications every year from each staff. All right? That's lag. Now, how they do, then I said, okay, you tell me what you'll be doing. What are your lead indicator to achieve that lag indicator? So this is KPI. Okay? That's is there. Now, moving to your other part of the question is balanced scorecard, BSc, all right? Now, balanced scorecard is a management system which measures and manage performance at a very low level, individuals, then at a strategic unit level, which could be your function or activity, at a corporate level, institutions, at a government level, at the top. It trickles down from top down to the individuals. Each person or area will have its own KPIs. Now the government's KPI is lag KPI, okay? But for government, those lead indicators may become lag for you at a corporate level. For corporate levels, those may be KPIs, but at individual levels, those are leading. It means whatever individuals do become leading to that lag, and then what corporate does is leading to that lag indicator at a government level, the top Ministry of Finance level is there. So they are connected, all right? So lead, every lag indicator, there is a lead indicator, and that lead indicator may be a lag indicator for someone else. All right? Do you understand now what I'm saying? So a lag indicator for you may be a lead indicator for someone else. And that may be a lag indicator for you, but lead indicator to another agency or another company as well. All right? So there's a number of examples one can cite on Ministry of Finance or construction or transport or and so on where you have number of areas where lag and lead indicators work together. So the lesson is for every lag you have to have a lead indicator for that, which is your KPI. So every lead indicator become a KPI in the future. All right? So BSC is a management system where you measure performance, but at the same time you manage. So for measuring performance, you don't need vision and all those things. But we're bringing vision and strategic planning and strategies in because Balanced Scorecard tells us a story of company as a whole. As I said, PMS is a storytelling, all right? So that storytelling is basically what it says is what is your vision of existence, why you're there, why you have created a company, what for this institution is there, to produce students, high quality students, best knowledge, best student experience. So what is that? All right? So this is how you would classify Balanced Scorecard as a management system. All right? So what I've been telling you is how you create a Balanced Scorecard. PMS is one component of that Balanced Scorecard. And this is the reason why Balanced Scorecard is most common across public sector organizations as well as non-public sector organizations as well. Have I answered your question? Okay. Next slide, please, if we can move into that. Okay. Now, this is this roadmap study. How you do. Now, roadmap is we have done this. Now we have done this part also. Now we are entering into Balanced Scorecard. And then from Balanced Scorecard, evaluate and adjust continuous improvements. That's what we are doing this. And what you're doing is we are trying to link these puzzles, building block approach. All right? We're trying to create a link between all these, from a vision at the top to evaluating at the end. So my next slides are all about these four things. Can we move to the next, please? So Balanced Scorecard, actually you already have asked this question and I've already answered this thing. That's what I wanted to explain. So a Balanced Scorecard is a measurement system, it's a management system, or it is a management philosophy. That was your question, all right, basically. And I have answered to that. Basically, Balanced Scorecard is all about these three things. It measures, it manages, and it is a management philosophy. Philosophy means that you have vision of a company. And if you people want to take water or anything, I think they can, because it's sitting here for a very long time. Do you want to continue? Because if some people want water or
we should.
It's up to you guys. Do you want to continue or you want water? And
They already bring the water.
oh, you have already water.
Yeah.
That's a lead indicator. All right. And lag indicator is satisfaction. All right. So that's fine. Sorry, I'm new here. I don't know. Like the water is already there. At least mine is here. All right. So when I take a sip, you people can also take at the same time. So I have already answered this, that a Balanced Scorecard, why Balanced Scorecard is very common and famous, because it measures, it manages, and it is your business philosophy as well. So the companies are using it as as business vision, creating, a business philosophy for a company. Next, please, if we can. So this is the diagram you might have seen in every book when you study management accounting or management control systems or other things. You see this 4 boxes. So when we talk about balanced scorecard, the original balanced scorecard, which came in 1992, Kaplan and Norton, and later on Kaplan and Norton, they changed in 1996 and brought more perspectives. So what their philosophy was, every organization's performance can be assessed or measured in 4 areas, or it can be viewed from 4 perspectives. Okay? Can be measured in 4 areas or can be viewed from 4 perspectives. And these 4 perspectives are a combination of financial and non-financial perspectives. Everything ends with the financial perspective, remember. The outcome of every activity, means lag and lead indicator, end up with financial outcome. So what happens is, the first thing is to achieve any goal, how our staff learn, communicates and grow. That's first thing, as individual levels that we were discussing in the morning. So it means balanced scorecard starts with the staff satisfaction, individual levels. Now this is what Kaplan and Norton said, learning and growth. And then it moves into internal. Now staff cannot be happy if there is no system around that person. Like if you ask somebody to email and you don't have a computer, how are you going to email? It means you have to provide, internal systems so that staff is efficient and effective. That is called as internal business processes. So the idea and philosophy behind this is, if we have learning and growth staff, you have to have internal systems in place so that people can work and improve. All right? So if you say, okay, here's a key and drive this car and there's no fuel in the car. You can't drive. All right? That's what internal processes are. So it is essential, critical for a company to have right internal business processes. And then third one is outside view, how people see you and how would you like yourself be seen by the people. All right? So the McDonald's always does this. Like, do you want to be effective in customer service, efficient in customer service, better quality product? This is how you create your competitive advantage. So the aim of a company is never profit anymore. No company in the world nowadays work for profit. They create competitive advantage and then at the end you achieve your profits, whatever your goals are. That is your customer satisfaction. So how they see you and how would you like to serve them. And then the bigger box is financial and public sector is regulatory. That how you comply to them. Now all these basically leads to the ultimate outcome. For commercial organizations, the main focus of balanced scorecard is here on customers. For public sector organization, it's more on the regulatory side. And both leads to the financial outcome. All right? So whether it is regulatory or customers, both leads to financial outcome. This is your balanced scorecard. It's a very simplified form of a balanced scorecard. So, but in 1996, when Kaplan wrote another paper on balanced scorecard, they changed the dimensions or perspectives of balanced scorecard and added a new dimension is on sustainabilities, ethics, CSR, And that all came after that. And they said that balanced scorecard can be adaptive to all those changes which happens. So it started from public sector, it went into more banking and commercial organizations, and every organization changed. Now banks like Commerce Bank, we do have a branch here in Jakarta on Commerce Bank, they have 8 dimensions of balanced scorecard. So they don't just focus on 4, they focus on 8 dimensions of balanced scorecard. So they are not fixed, and your company can change and develop balanced scorecard with more and more perspectives, with more and more KPIs, I would say, or lag indicator. Can we move to the next one, please? So I'll quickly go through with these 4 perspectives. So the first one is learning and growth. The purpose is how to achieve your vision, and then you can define your purpose. So when you start preparing your balanced scorecard, you have to have your purpose and your aim. That is ultimate achievement and how you're going to achieve it. Or in other words, lag and lead. This is how you build your, slowly your balanced scorecard. But there is a story behind all these, which is going to come soon, all right? Internal business process, customer satisfaction, and financial performance at the end. Next slide, please. So learning and growth is, what I do is, in my research, I divide KPIs into general KPIs and risk-related KPIs. The reason for that is because of more and more competition in the market, organizations want to have more and more risk-related KPIs. So here you will find some of those KPIs and goals which are risk-related. You may not need that. For example, in public sector, there is a less of risk-related KPIs, but in commercial organization, there are more of KPIs because of competition. So you're not competing with anyone. There's no risk. But if there's some private uni or University of Indonesia or Jakarta, they may have more risk-related because there's a lot of private sector competition for those universities. So remember in that way that you can have number of KPIs here. So for example, in learning and growth, increase employees' process ownership. That you own a process. When you craft a process, you own a process. And this is the reason why we ask our staff to create their own KPIs. At Macquarie University, we don't give them KPIs. So what happened is from January to March, we asked them, create your KPIs and come, talk to us. Okay, so we have a performance development system or professional development systems, and they create their own KPIs for us, lag as well as both lead indicators. That's what it is, they develop. So how you measure it? So if it is more of learning and growth, it becomes very subjective. How good you are in teaching? Perhaps you'll ask student survey. That would be the one way of measuring it. Okay? So it is not just the student clapping in a class for you. That's not measurement. You want to have a real evidence of a measurement when you create a KPI. So these are few of the goals or KPIs, and eventually how you measure them. In between, what happened is you can have one word statement, which are your lag indicator or your KPIs there. All right? Next slide, please. Somebody's changing there. I don't know who's doing that, but somebody's doing that. Yeah, that's a good magic actually. So the internal business process, so every perspective will have this. So I'm giving you a very original form of balanced scorecard, which came in 1992 and later on changed in 1996 from Kaplan and Norton. And then a lot of research happened after that on the balance scorecard. This was the most researched topic in management accounting in the history of accounting, basically. And same is internal business processes. And then you pick any achieve unit cost reductions, then what you do in terms of measuring it. Take any measure, reduce probability to impact the threats, number of employees attending risk management training, and so on. So you create for each of your goal a KPI and you measure it. And you craft your own measure within your balance scorecard. And then your supervisors agrees, and then balance scorecard start working from there. So next slide, and next slide, please. So this is on customers. Next one is, next one, please. Financials, all right? Now, financial is the eventual outcome, the ultimate outcome. It's learning and growth, internal business process, and customer satisfactions. All these would lead to the financial outcome, all right? So these measures are coming from the original form of Kaplan when he, for the Charlotte Council, he used the same KPIs, all right? So high profit margins, so what you do here, if you want to reduce cost, runovers, then what you do is the charges paid, holding costs, and so on. So this is how you create performance measures, and then eventually your KPIs, and then go back into the goal you set for your company. Any question? Yep.
Well, thank you for the chance, sir. My name is Nopri. I'm from Diploma 4 program. So I'm not sure if it's related to your presentation or not, but my questions will be, as we might probably be aware that Ministry of Finance has implemented BSC since a decade, so it's been a decade, and I just want to know how should the information resulted from the BSC could be supported by the information from the budgeting and reporting system. So how should they relate? How should they relate each other? Should the budgeting support the BSC, or does it work the other way around? Thank you. Sorry, I have one more question, sir. You mentioned already that there is a company that has 8 perspectives. So can you please emphasize more about what the other 4, just so we know? Thank you very much.
That's good. Any question here? I think you were asking question. You were asking? Somebody raised his hand here. You want to ask? Or is the same question, different question? Let me answer then that, and then we'll come to you. Now, number one, first question is whether budget support be BSC or BSC support budget. It is BSC which supports budget, all right? Because it's a management system. Balance scorecard helps to create budgets. Once you have a budget, that becomes your benchmark, and then you assess performance based on budget. Now what happens is, in some organizations, they develop their balance scorecard in a very small sort of unit and use balance scorecard only for performance measurement purpose, KPIs and so on. And they keep budget separate. So their budgeting system is separate, and then balance scorecard is separate. So good organizations, like example I was giving you, Commonwealth Bank, all right? They have a branch here as well. Now, it's a complete package. So at the end, what happened is the budgets are automatically produced out of balance scorecard, and then you move into measurement, and then budget again, then measurement. This is how you keep on doing your performance management. Otherwise, it is just measurement, not management. Budgeting is management. Okay? So you have to have control over your budget, therefore management is there. All right? Now the balance scorecard for others is So they are using 4 perspectives. Other perspective, 4 perspectives is ethics, sustainability, all right? Then within sustainability, they use CSR as separate. And then one on the customers is regional, because Australia is very much regional as well, and normal customer satisfaction as well. So this is how they have created 8 different types of perspectives for their balanced scorecard. All right. So every company, by regulations in Australia, have to have ethical code of conducts, and sustainability is a requirement. Indonesia is still, they haven't actually mandated to have sustainability as a requirement for companies. All right. So the moment Indonesia would move into that sort of domain where the government say every company has to follow sustainability practices, then you would also see balanced scorecard with 5 dimensions or 6 dimensions here as well. All right. So social cause and community, ethics, sustainability, and the regional customers, their satisfactions, plus those 4 that become 8 total performance measures. Have we answered your question? Yeah. Yep. Here.
Thank you. My name is Indra. I'm one of the lecturers here. Continuing to the last question, actually it is very interesting moment for us to have you here, because it is true, we have in the Ministry of Finance has already implemented balanced scorecard for the last 10 years, starting from 2008. And we have done it, cascading, creating a strategy map, and then signing the performance contract, monitoring the performance achievement, and finally, we do have the performance for the organizations and also the performance for individual. So for the last, let's say for the last 7 or 8 years, we have implemented this management system or measurement system. Several information or several indication that we can find. One of them, I can say this one. It seems that after we do this approach of performance system, one information that we got is if you talk about the individual performance, if we describe the achievement of individual performance, the shape of the distribution, it is not a normal distribution. It is skewed. It means that there is no underperformance. What we have is in average performance and high performance. If you look at the achievement of individual on each employee of Ministry of Finance.
Yeah, I got it now what the problem is. Yeah, come on.
And also, interestingly, in 2008, based on research that I read in the journal, it happened also in our central bank, Bank of Indonesia. When they did the research in 2008, they have the same pattern of performance distribution. It is also skewed. There is no underperformance.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting. Why? Because as you mentioned at the beginning that the use of performance system, one of it to improve the performance. The question is, if the distribution curve or the shape of the distribution is skewed,
What to improve? What to improve?
We don't have underperformance.
Yeah.
And consequently, we lost a chance to improve the underperformance to get improved, right? My question is it a good sign or a bad sign of DST implementation? That's my question.
Okay. It's a bad sign. Okay, in one word, bad sign, all right? Maybe what I'll do is, I'll send you a link, and I did publish a paper on this exact problem that you're saying in developing countries, balanced scorecard issues. And do read that paper. That was published in 2013, AAAJ. So I'll send that one, and I think it'll be interesting for you. Now the problem, if I'm doing for your company or your agency and your institutions, I would look at what and how KPIs have been designed. We used to face this problem, and we changed. Because in the institution, there was no underperformer. Everyone was best. But at the end, what happened is my department was not moving up. My world ranking was still 65 as accounting school in the world. And what I aimed was top 50 accounting schools in the world. It was not happening. And outside agencies, QS and others were still giving me low rankings when we were going for rankings. All right, so I said, what's wrong? Every person is performing. That's as an institution we should be performing. We should be well ahead in the world. All right, but we were stagnant in the top 100. All right, exactly top 65 in the world. But that movement was not happening. And then what happened is the KPIs which we developed, that's why I spent a lot of time on lead and lag indicators. If they are wrong, it's just like you go in a pump station, gas for your fuel, and the pump is wrong. And then you start putting, you say 5 liter, and then you start putting petrol into that. After 4 liters, what happened is petrol start coming out, which means the gauge used to measure is wrong, is giving a wrong indication. So that's what's happening with your institution. So the way KPIs have been crafted, they are incorrect to me, okay? But I have to look at the system, then I can tell exactly where the problem is. So it seems to be if performance is going in that way, on one side skewed, on top performance or average performance, no underperformance, then it means that the way KPIs have been set and benchmarks have been set in your balanced scorecard somewhere where it was developed, they were not properly done. That's what the issue is. Now, it's bad, as I said, and it is very harmful for your institution also, because you would never get the opportunity to improve, because there's no improvement needed. So you're already saying, yeah, yes, you're best, and at the end of the day, clapping, that's all done, good, happy ending. You know, you watch Bollywood movies, every Bollywood movie end up with happiness, all right? So same thing happens then in institutions, but actually it's inside damaging your organizations. So any performance management systems is based on rewards and recognition. And I had shown you that slide. So what's happening is you're recognizing and rewarding everyone. And those who are not even performing, you are recognizing and rewarding them also. And if something happens and you say, okay, actually you're not performing, but you say, no, I'm performing. All right? So there is no accountability actually involved. So it means the accountability in your institution is very low. In fact, you cannot create accountability in your institutions. That is one of the problems with your balanced scorecard. So you have to revisit your KPIs, lag indicators, and what I did is I created lag indicators, then I gave to my staff that they create lead indicators. I said this is what I want in research, this is what I want in teaching, and that is my service, okay? I want everyone doing these things, these outputs. And then they said, okay, I'll do this. This is called ownership. It's a co-ownership, okay? They create your own lead indicators. If you do that, then you can create accountability. Then you have a normal distribution. And it happened in last 2 years. Now I'm back into the normal distribution, and I can see rankings now going up, research is going up, teaching is going up, and those are underperformance, I put them in a performance management system. So they are controlled, basically. So they manage, performance is managed, and I send them to HR, and HR manages their performance. So I think that is perfectly working, and I had the same problem in the past within our institution. All right? Have we answered your question? Okay. Can we move to the next one, please? Now, I think this is the crux of the whole balanced scorecard. The crux is, so we have whatever number of perspectives, we can keep it here. Now, your company has to decide, or your agency has to decide. This is very, very important slide, please remember. You have to decide whether your balanced scorecard is a profit-driven or mission-driven. If you are a commercial organization, you are more profit-driven. All right? If you are more public sector organization like this, you are more mission-driven. You're not paying fees here. Government is paying scholarships and so on. There's a mission. There's no point of making money. But still you need to run. And that money comes from somewhere. It means there is some element of a profit involved in some activities. For example, if I come to your institution, to your head of department, say, okay, we want some training course to be developed, and how much would you do it? And his answer would be straight, yes, I will do it, but I'll charge this much to the institution. So you can't do it free, okay? If somebody comes to me and say, okay, we want the balanced scorecard to be developed for my institutions, we do consultancy, I do consultancy, and then I'll say, oh, yep, these are my rates. It means I'm mission-driven, and at the same time, I'm profit-driven. Every balanced scorecard for every type of organization is mission-driven and profit-driven, or profit-driven and mission-driven. Means either of that has to be high or low. In commercial organization, this is on high side, and in public sector, this is on high side. But we cannot ignore profits, and we cannot ignore missions at the same time. So this is your first question when you're entering into a balanced scorecard development. Would you focus on mission, or would you focus on profits? Why? Because your KPIs would be based on either profits or on missions. All right? So those 4 perspectives, or 7 perspectives, or 8 perspectives would be based on either of that. Can we move to the next one, please? Now, if you are mission-driven, okay, I was trying to do it for your organization. I don't know how successful I am. So this is what Kaplan Norton did. So assuming you have 4 perspective balanced scorecard. I haven't seen your balanced scorecard, but if there are more perspectives, then you can add those perspectives here. So what you do is, from employee individuals, as you said, all right, that is key. Bottom of every balanced scorecard. It drives everything in the organization. So once you have learning and growth, internal business process, customers, and financial and regulatory. This is what a Kaplan and Norton's balanced scorecard is. And you keep on bringing more and more perspective depending on the nature of your organization. You don't need to be 4. You can have 3 perspectives. You can have 5 perspectives. You can have 10 perspectives, depending on your organizations. But this is the philosophy behind having a balanced scorecard. So mission, rather than financial stakeholders' objective, drives the organization's strategy. Okay, so it has to be a mission, so at the end, what happens is you achieve it. So if you reverse this, basically, you end up achieving mission. This is called cascading into a mission. Okay, so cascading down to individuals, cascading down into a mission. So employees help developing mission, and employees help in achieving mission of your organization. So it is no more top-down. Balanced scorecard is not top-down, like somebody sits somewhere in the air conditioning office and develop everything and start putting on you. No, every person in the organization has to be part of balanced scorecard developments because it impacts them. So when we say KPIs and key lead indicators, basically that comes from the people and it goes step by step up and then it comes down. That's called cascading, all right, to the organization. Next one, please. Now this is more comprehensive. Same thing, but more comprehensive. But there could be a number of examples here for your balanced scorecard. Next one.
Excuse me, Professor, may I ask a question? Here I am, the moderator.
Yep. On the previous slide or this one?
The previous slide.
Yep, previous slide, please.
So if every aspect of the previous slide,
Previous slide, please.
previous,
Yeah.
if every aspect here has a position as lead indicator or lag indicator, it means the hierarchical process here on the leveling from the learning and growth, internal perspective up to customer perspective here has a, has an importance in the level or hierarchical process. Is it true? Or should we just make it like balance itself? So every perspective here has the same level. What is the answer about that?
Yeah, it is same level, but when we talk, balanced scorecard is all about cascading, up and down, all right, both. If you bring them at a same level, then you won't be able to create linkage. In a balanced scorecard, it is very important to have linkage between one perspective to another perspective. Staff satisfaction leads to better internal processes, all right? And then better internal processes lead to customer satisfaction and financials. Or what you can do is you can have internal business processes and customers, okay? Learning and growth, which is your management here. So better internal processes can lead to better learning and growth in your organization. Satisfaction. You understand this? Like if you're having a very high profit, it won't lead to customer satisfaction. It means what happens is to have higher customer satisfaction, you have to do two of these things, which would lead to more of financial results. So it can go in that way, but often it can go in step by step up there with the number of perspectives. I don't know who asked question, but it was you, Noor. Yeah, you're not allowed to ask questions.
Related to that, so it is really important for us to pay attention for the hierarchical of the perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Each perspective is critical.
Okay.
If the moment you take that block out, then your balanced scorecard is not complete.
Well, for most of the balance scorecard design, is it true that the highest level is the customer perspective, or it can be changed?
Client. Yeah, it depends. Often it is the customer or your clients at the end. For example, for this institution, the students who are coming here, their satisfaction is at the end. So financial motive is not important. Therefore, I kept financial motive only for your institution at a second level, for public sector. For commercials, maybe this can become as a first, but this is for public sector. I was giving that example. All right. So customer come at the end, client is eventually the ultimate objective for any institutions, for any balance scorecard. All right. So for balance scorecard for commercials works in a different way from the public sector institution. Next one, please slide. All right. So these are just the stakeholders that how balance scorecard is aligned to each stakeholder. Now this is straight from Kaplan's 1996 paper. Okay, I picked that from there and explaining how it is. So if you have a balance scorecard and strategy in the middle, so what are the strategies? Cost leadership and differentiation. These are two strategies we have learned. Only these two strategies, all right? Focus is offshoot of these two, either cost leadership focus or differentiation focused. So these are two strategies. And balance scorecard is around those two strategies. So business unit, it could be a department, it could be a division, it could be whole agency, all right? So it depends. Even like business unit could be one individual also, okay, working on some activities. Human resources, I think back to your question, Professor, your question, like performance skewed left and right, okay? That is what it is, that you need help from human resources for crafting KPIs. Budget and capital investment, I think that was a question from here, whether budget is, so you see that budget is part of balance scorecard, linked there. Information technology, because balance scorecard without software you cannot run. Company spends millions, I'm sure your ministry has also spent millions of dollars on developing this balance scorecard and time. It takes around 5 years to develop one balance scorecard. It's huge. And executive team at the end who drive the whole process. So these are the stakeholders who play a very critical role in development of a balance scorecard. Next slide, please. And I'll take just 5 minutes more. Yep.
Thank you. After I look at your slide, your previous slide about the corporate level linkage, I would like to ask you about something that related to the research. As I think it is very interesting for you to know that these students actually in their third semester they have to run a research as their final assignment
project,
project, and it will be examined in front of 3 examiners. And talking about the research, after we have been implemented the BSc for the last 3 years, I think the issue is how effective the BSc implementation within the Ministry of Finance. And my question is, if you don't mind to give our suggestions, the first question is, can you give us some suggestion about the latest or the current issue about research of BSc effectiveness or effectivity? That's the first question. The second question is, how about the theoretical framework? What kind of theoretical framework that you can use to assess or to research about the BSc effectiveness? After I searched for several journals or research. One research use a SFO, Strategic Focus Organization, as their theoretical framework. Another research use a communication and management control as their theoretical background. And then another research also try to study about the causal linkage between the learning and growth related to the internal process business, related to the customer satisfaction, and the last one is financial performance. My question is, what can you suggest? What kind of theoretical framework that we can choose to study the effectiveness of BSc implementation? Thank you.
All right, so very interesting question. The current research in PMS and Balanced Scorecard is more in terms of linking management control systems, Simon's levers of control. You know, there are 4 levers of control with PMS. That's very current. And how balanced scorecards impact those 4 levers of control. All right? So there's a belief system of control, the boundary systems of control. All right? So there are 4 control systems. So how management control systems impact balanced scorecard, or balanced scorecard impacts management control system. So association between these 2. So the theoretical framework which we are talking is management control systems. So anybody can go in Simon's levers of control of 2000. I think that there's a lot of work people have done on this. The other work nowadays happening is around using institutional theory, which came from old DiMaggio and Powell's 1983 work, which he did, or both of them did, early 1980s. So what that research is, it says that there are 3 types of pressures on institutions. One is coercive, like government, force you to do something. All right? They decide your KPIs and then you achieve that. So it is top-down, coercive pressure, government rules, regulations, and you have to follow. All right? For example, for banking, central bank here will say, okay, this is the interest rate. Every bank will follow that interest rate. They cannot change. That is coercive pressure. All right? The other one, pressure, is often normative pressure. Normative pressure is where experts, they develop something. For example, balanced scorecard is normative pressure. All top companies, they use balanced scorecard, and every company say, okay, in US people are doing, in Australia people are doing, all companies are doing, why not we also adopt balanced scorecard? So what has happened is, because others are doing, you are also doing. So you haven't gone by choice, okay, as an institution, I'm telling you. Because others are doing, now you are doing also, all right? So you may fail in this, all right? So what happened is, this is called as normative. Then some experts comes and you say, okay, we saw this is happening elsewhere, and let's do this in here also. Third pressure is mimetic pressures, mimicking others, copying others. So companies, what they do is they copy practices, best practices, so that they look good to customers, all right? And it happens mostly in developing countries here. So what you see is, you say, all right, that company is doing this stuff, and they're in the same business, why not we do it in this way, all right? So examples are like Samsung versus iPhone. They mimic, basically, all right? That is a pressure. It's a market pressure on you, all right? So, and then you change because of that pressure. So you want legitimacy of your institution, legitimacy of your products and services. So this is another important piece, and I have done a lot of work on this. If you want to refer my publication from my website. This is a big research happening and I have around 16, 17 papers right now in different stages. We're researching, whole team with me on that sort of stuff. So a typical research on perspective of balanced scorecard. Even research could be the association between learning and growth and internal business processes. Nobody has investigated this. Nobody knows which come first. You know, it's an egg and chicken basically, okay, which come first, all right? So nobody knows whether it is the internal business processes leads to employee satisfaction or employee satisfaction lead to better processes. Because these two are mother of everything within the balanced scorecard. So that can be done another way. Fourth element is on culture within organizations. So many balanced scorecard, I think I'll show you one slide later, have failed because the culture was not adaptive. Means change to the new system. Either training was not given to people to use balanced scorecard. They were not sure like how to use balanced scorecard. They were not sure how to craft lead indicators and KPIs, and all those balanced scorecards failed. So I have a number of examples. I did research in Bangladesh, in India, in Pakistan, all these that institutions over there. Even in one institution we went there and they were saying we're using balanced scorecard. When I looked at the balanced scorecard, actually it was not the balanced scorecard, but they were claiming it's a balanced scorecard. So it's a delusional sort of things. So that is another type of research, like whether your culture is adaptive. That can be mediating or moderating factor, you can see variable on your research. But this is a good project, culture. And culture could be corporate culture. Hofstede study you can use, take as a benchmark for this, and then you use corporate culture, or you can do national cultures as well. All right? I think that's very important because national cultures impact organizational culture, and organizational culture or corporate culture eventually on adopting certain practices. Last and fifth topic perhaps is diffusion of innovation. Now this is a balanced scorecard is an innovation, management innovation. Now how it diffuse, again culture would come. Okay, so this is, I'm talking about Rogers' early work of 1995, and quite recently in 2000 as well he published. So Rogers' 1995 framework can be used, how it diffuses in companies. I think there was another paper in 1991, Abrahamson's paper, that where he talks about these management innovations are either fashion. Okay, balanced scorecard is a fashion. Your company might have used as a fashion, all right? Or it's a fad. Fad means it comes and move, all right? And burst sort of situations, all right? Or it is a forced choice. Like your government want it, Ministry of Finance want it, you are doing it. So you're forced to do in that way. So this is another, so they're very good frameworks. So in Abrahamson's framework, 1991, that is also another good piece of a project if somebody wants to do a small project. I think they are good ones. So if somebody wants to do this research, please do visit my website. There are a number of papers, around 30, 40 papers you'll find around these topics on balanced scorecard and performance measurement system. I research broader, not on balanced scorecard, broader performance measurement system. So I'm not just balanced scorecard, very broad things I do now. So quite recently, last 3 to 4 years, I've moved into culture. So I study more cultures, people, that's my research is nowadays. All right? But I'm happy to give you more topics, but these are broader, big 5 pieces on which research can happen in the future. All right, so this is, I think this is a problem. Now, I think many of the questions were coming around this, and your question also was around this. So the problem is control. We are control freak. We want control everything. Yeah, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. He's reporting to me and she's reporting to me. You know, we are control freak. We should not be. Balanced scorecard is not like that. Actually, balanced scorecard gives freedom to you to work rather than control. So balanced scorecard removes those hurdles, you know, hierarchies, like this person and then this person and this person and this person. Like if you want one work, you have to go to top 5 layers. You have to, like sometime even in Australia also we see that one approval, there are 20 signatures for one approval. All right, so you say, oh, I have to climb that ladder, okay, to get a very small thing. Balanced scorecard removes that. The objective of balanced scorecard is straight here. If you are, then you are minimizing your controls. So basically, balanced scorecard or any performance measurement system is for feedback. And I showed you the first slide where the feedback goes. That's the whole idea, so that you improve. If you're not improving, it means your balanced scorecard is defective or performance measurement system is effective. All right, can we move 2 slides? Yeah, so this is a cascading approach where your company, what it does is, with the strategic feedback, you do strategic learning. So when you have a strategy and develop balanced scorecard here, and from there you develop your KPIs and what you achieve, and then you assess your performance, having feedbacks at different levels, and then you improve. And this is how you close your strategic learning loop. All right? So balanced scorecard, as I said at the beginning, is not just one static system or activity you perform, rather you continuously achieve your balanced scorecard. All right? So I'll spend less time on this. I know that this is very, very complicated for you at this stage. You just understand basic concept of PMS and a balanced scorecard and how it's done. For your balanced scorecard, all these things you are doing, basically. At a different levels you are doing. So this is something which is hidden in a computer. So you don't see this background, the lag, leak indicator, perspectives, and so on. So you just see the output on your screens if you're using software. And then you see your scorecards and then you assess performance, all right? And then number of meetings you hold, and then finally you provide follow-up actions and how you improve further in the future. Next one, please. Not this one. I think there's one, and the next one. Yep, that one. Now, this is the classic slide. This is not my research, but this is some other researchers have done. And what they have seen, why balanced scorecards are not implemented properly. One is there are issues in terms of vision, people, management, and resources. So 9 of 10 companies fail to execute their strategies. So if you are not able to implement, it means your strategies are poorly crafted. And those strategies would either relate to your vision, people, resources, and management. So you would see in this one, management is the biggest barrier, top management. Okay, that's why it's skewed. Your example is skewed, it's because of management. 85% of balanced scorecard failed because of management. And less is in terms of vision. So you have a vision, but at the same time what happened is the management is unable to really execute as a team of that balanced scorecard. All right? So when a balanced scorecard comes and there are issues with balanced scorecard, this is how we go into deep and see where exactly those issues are. Resources sometimes also becomes, because 60% of failures happen because of you do have everything, but you haven't provided resources. to the people to achieve their KPIs and the targets. Next slide, please. Benchmarking. I have 10 minutes? Okay, fantastic. You got everything with you. In 10 minutes, I'll finish. Okay, I've been given a performance indicator, lag indicator, I'll be lead. So why benchmarking? So what is benchmark? Benchmark is your partner. The company, the person, the performance, the vision, the product, all right? Anyone, any partner with whom you want to compare your performance. So why you do? Basically, you intend to improve your performance based on that benchmark. So when I was a student, I always look at, okay, who's the best student in the class? That's my benchmark, all right? This is how you set your benchmark. Or I say, okay, who's the average one? Then I would perform above that average. That's my benchmark, all right? This is how companies they do, all right? So McDonald's would say benchmark is Burger King's, not KFC. KFC is a different product. Okay, you can have, which I'll talk, but that's how you set your benchmark. Without benchmarking, you cannot assess your performance, how well you're performing. If you are the only one and you are having 10% profits, you'll be happy, you say, oh, very high profitability. It might be very low return on investment for your company. Whereas same amount can be invested somewhere else to have high return on investments. So you have to have a benchmark. Even in public sector organizations, yours, there would be a benchmark. So it is up to you how you set a benchmark. So I'll show you in the next few slides how you set your benchmark. First one is, and I'll stop it here after this. First one is internal benchmarking. It is very much internal for public sector organizations especially. It could be department by department, subject by subject, even. One subject, financial accounting, other could be management accounting or management control systems and so on. This is how you can set internal benchmarking. Year by year even, like first year and the second year and third year and fourth year. The same subject, how that subject is performing. So first year becomes your benchmark and then you see trend of improvements, ups and downs. That is your benchmark. Without benchmark, no PMS, no balanced scorecard. You have to have a benchmark to assess performance, all right? Second is competitive. Who is competing with you? All right? So a private sector uni with another private sector uni, public sector university with another public sector uni, all right? So that's how you do. McDonald's with Burger King, all right? Within the same industry. The other one is functional. Functional is comparing specific function across firms. Marketing with management, marketing with customer service, marketing with complaints department, marketing with production departments, and so on. In your maybe different teachings, exam versus maybe teaching department. Okay, so we do have exam separate and then teaching separate, delivery separate. So they're two separate departments. So we compare them. So performance of one depends on others, but we have to have a benchmark there. Third one, generic, is very sort of common sometime when you really want to learn from the market. So these could be two dissimilar products, all right? So KFC versus McDonald's is that example when we say generic benchmarking. A steel industry with educational institution. So what you do is basically you look at how much money you have invested in one and whether you are earning the same profit with another industry or not. So basically you see return on investment, and this is how you set a benchmark. So in an educational institution, maybe return on investment is low, but in construction business, return on investment might be very high. So you want to see whether you are using your funds effectively or not. Therefore, you have to have generic benchmarking. So it's up to you that how you use your benchmarks. So benchmarking is not a competitive assessment, remember. You are not comparing basically to assess that who's performing better. The objective of benchmarking is how you improve and perform better as compared to your benchmark partner. Or it's not just copying or just metrics and geared only to manufacturing, okay? It is public sector as well, all right? Now, one last slide which I would show is different steps. I have 2 minutes. 5 minutes. I think I can take 2 questions. Okay, so this is the process, how you do benchmarking. Yep. So final performance measurement steps, recall that diagram, I have shown it to you. So this is just the wind up of my presentation. So what you do is you define your key activities. So I use the word procurement because in the government that is the term which is used. Your is academic. You can use that term. Define your expectation and desires. That's where the benchmarking comes. Measure the actual performance, analyze results with data information and respond to those results. So I'll stop it here. I'll take a few questions. All right, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Rahat Munir. Is there any question? One more question maybe?
We have 5 minutes. We can take 3-4 questions. 5 minutes.
5 minutes again.
It depends on the answer, how long answer I give. Yep. Yep, here is one.
Thank you. My name is Prama. I'm from Diploma 4 program. My question is, how do we motivate the public institution to do better performance? Because we actually do not have a competitor. So in my previous unit, for example, we only have one tax authority. So the people do not have choice. So they have to go to tax authority to pay tax. So that's the first question. So and the next question, how do we set our target, our goals, so it's not too high or too low? Thank you.
All right. Okay. I think that's very interesting and important question. Number one, maybe perhaps I'll disagree that you don't have competitors. You don't need to be having a competitor to develop a performance measurement system or balance scorecard. The whole idea of performance measurement system is how you can improve and serve better in terms of quality, better in terms of efficiency, in terms of effectiveness, all right? So your competitor is your performance of the last year. So previous year, what you did is your competition. So you want to be better than last year, and the year before, and the year before, all right? So you can see the trend, how it's going up and down, and that is your competition, okay? Now, your competition is when we do benchmarking, maybe the other institution, generic. For example, how public sector institutions operate in your neighboring countries. Maybe your neighboring country is Australia, all right? How they perform, public sector institutions, what are their processes, all right? Other neighboring countries, maybe in this whole Pacific Rim where other countries are, their public sector institution perhaps would also be a benchmark for your institutions, all right? Now, in public sector, Australia does this. For example, if you go to for a driving license, after all the process, when you are on the door, they put iPad there, sort of a device, only 3 questions. You're happy, not happy, or worst experience. That's it. You have to click that. That's it. They get that feedback. All right? And that feedback, it takes hardly a second of that feedback. It is just on the door, and people, they just go and click one of that, all right? Happy face, angry face, and the worst possible situations. People take that sort of as a benchmark for performance, all right? The last thing I would say is, public sector is no more public sector of 1950s and 1960s or 1970s even. So what happened is there's a new public sector management, okay, where public sector operates like private sector. So public sector has to operate at a private sector. It means your benchmark in this case, or your competition, is with the private sector. You may not be delivering the same products, but for example, this is teaching facilities. So you look at what other people are doing, how they teach, deliver, how they assess their students, all right? And how their students perform, how their students' learning experience is better and worse than yours. So basically what you're doing is you're comparing with another institutions. So this is how it's happening now. It's one sort of a global sort of a village where every institution is competing with each other, not just for the sake of profits and market shares, but in terms of satisfying their clients and customers. Any other question?
All right, only one.
I think there was a second
this
question.
is the last question, okay?
There was another question, but I forgot that question. Yeah.
About how we set the goals. So it's
Okay.
not too high to low.
How you set the goals. I personally believe goals are not set by top management, or should not, rather I'll put it in this way, should not set by the top management. It defeats, it demoralizes, demotivates people. And the reason for that is, the manager who is dealing with a particular segment knows the market better than someone who's sitting in main office somewhere in Jakarta, main city, or there. You understand? So it means the goals are set by people in the field, those who are performing and functioning. And I gave you example of Macquarie Uni, where lag indicators I set because I have accountability for the university, but lead indicators, which are also goals, are set by the staff themselves. I may agree, may disagree, but we always have a conversation, and based on that, we develop. But don't try to have too many financial indicators or quantitative indicators. Try to have balance of customer-related, client-related, internal business processes, learning and growth, which is staff-related, and some of them perhaps would be financial indicator. So it is called as, in balanced scorecard terminology, co-creation. Co-creation means everybody creates. It's not one person or a team creates, it's co-created. So when you create a KPI for a staff, basically what you do is you discuss. When employees own that goal or target or KPI, you would see that they work to achieve those goals and targets. Question? Yeah, I think there's another question here. Sufan, yeah, I think.
Okay, thank you. I have read others performance measurement system, which is called for logic model, or others maybe a theory of change and other system. I don't know exactly the institution who has introduced this system, but maybe one institution that introduced is ADB for their donors, the country who have donation from the EDB, or also World Bank maybe give this help, and they give the country which receive that help, the performance measurement that they must use is log frame, for example. My question is, what are the differences between this kind of performance measurement system with balance scorecard? Is it that true that if I try to find that one of the differences is this performance measurement system not limited their perspective to 4 perspective only. Yeah. They arrange the strategic more freely. For example, in logic model, they arrange the strategy from the input and then process and output and outcome. Yeah. It's not any pre-concept, pre-intention or what perspective must integrate it in that performance measurement system.
I think the difference, thanks for that. The major difference is in just 2 words. One is the flexibility, and number 2 is the balance. So it's very important for any performance measurement system. So BSc is a performance measurement system and performance management system as well. It has to be flexible. That's a difference. If it's not, there's no flexibility. And number 2 is balance. Balance in terms of KPIs you have and how beautifully and carefully you develop and craft those KPIs for your business units and for your agency and for your staff as well. I mean, I believe, very strongly believe, and my research is all about this, people are never wrong. If somebody is not performing, it's not because of person, it's because of your system, which I'm talking here. And in the balance scorecard, this is something is there. And in other systems, that is unfortunately there is, this element is missing. So it is more flexibility and rigidness. The other systems are very rigid, but balance scorecard is very flexible and at the same time is balance amongst different perspectives as well. All right?
The institution who introduced this performance measurement system is also one of the differences. Yeah. EDB, for example, give the compulsory for the country who get the donation to report the performance measurement system with log frame, for example. Can we say that this performance measurement system is not kind of strategic performance measurement system exactly. As a balance scorecard?
Yeah, because that's very ad hoc. Basically, it's not strategic in nature. That's what the reason is. Basically, you yourself have answered that question. Yeah, definitely. So with this, thank you very much for this opportunity. It was very nice talking to you. What I was trying to do is a full semester course, teach you in 2 hours. And I really salute you guys that you people are fabulous, very patiently listened me. And my details are on the website. If you really want to connect with me, anyone, please send an email to me. I would definitely be answer your email and connect with you and guide you and mentor you, whatever you wish to have from me. So thank you very much and Assalamu alaikum.